sheep up front is a logical and safe place to start. This one's body is extremely good. Really opens up with a lot of mass and dimension there in terms of her loin edge and out of her hip. And she's just a total sheep that's got both muscle and design, just a nice soft place to go ahead and start. The young lady or the young man sheep here in the middle, really good when you get your hands on. It's unfortunate this one's wanting to act up a little bit today, because I tell you what, if you get over the top side of her, a lot of muscle, a lot of shape and dimension there, a lot of loin edge. She just doesn't obviously get out and fight and go with as much flex and as reach and design. Maybe just fix her there in a few spots, but I think a good solid one just needs to act just a bit better to get a better read on that one. And then we got one that we round out this particular class, and from the side, this one's extremely good through her front end. I love this one's neck and her shoulder assembly. Unfortunately, as you get in behind her, not only is she just a narrow pin, flat one, she's too narrow in terms of her base width and her bone structure. She's setting her at the ground. Let's give these three a big round of applause as we exit our natural colors today.
In that class of natural colored ewe lambs, third place was Mackenzie Allison. Placed second, Hunter Poland. The champion was Olivia Poland. Our next class is our Shropshire ewe lamb.
I think a top pair, a pair of females, I guess, that differ in terms of maybe some type and kind, and we're going to use the young lady right here directly in front of me, and I guess in terms of just freshness, she's, fits the bill from that standpoint. You get your hands on her, really cool out of the backside of her shoulder, and I think as you study her at the ground, she's better in terms of her pattern, she's bigger in terms of her foot, and I think she's got a better set and angle to that hawk and hind leg, and quite frankly, she's the better fronted one of the pair, and not to take anything away from the young lady here in a second. You go to the top side of this one, Skeleton, she's stout. She's a good bodied sheep. I think Skeleton's got some muscle and you do a good job of getting this one presented. She's a bit coarser around her there at the base of her shoulder and her blade. I think from their back she gets a bit flatter there in terms of her hawk and maybe just not quite as unique in terms of her overall bone and her foot side. Really good, tough, high quality top pair. Let's give these two young ladies a big round of applause.
First place lamb was exhibited by Madison Baxter. Second place was Ashley Alexander. Now showing our Shropshire yearling youth.
I think a nice single entry here, and you get into these yearlings, and some of them push the envelope in terms of maybe just some leanness and some, condition. And I tell you what, I looked at the young ladies, I said that this one's fresh. She's really hard and good to the touch. Past that, guys, this one's front end is really cool. Her overall design is awesome. I think the young lady does a good job of getting this one presented. Let's give her a big round of applause on an awesome single entry.
And that Shropshire yearling ewe is exhibited by Court Barger. We're now going to select the champion Shropshire.
I tell you what, a really cool Shropshire division here, and the ewe lambs that came out in an awfully tough pair, and we split some hairs on them, and the one in second, we loved her in terms of her body and her look, and having a cool, I guess physique about her, and had to ask yourself if she had enough foot and bone, and stopping us at the ground, and we used the ewe in that particular class for her touch, her look. I think one as you study her at the ground, and boy, she's good in terms of her structure, and she's stout there in terms of her bone work. You get her back out here in relation to the year, then, is she deep enough flank? Is her breastplate tucked up into her enough? Just some calls on this one, but I think a really cool one that we came back to a yearling that we call extremely fresh. We said we like her on the move, we like her on the side. She's going to be our champion today. We're going to follow up here for our reserve.
champion structure is exhibited by Cora Bartram, reserve champion by Madison Back. Now ready for our class of Southfield youth.
Really cool pair here as we get in our Southtown division. I think one that we lead off with, I think, touches with some shape and some dimension there, but I think past that, just a good build one. I think one that tracks wide and smooth and still gets out and has some flex and reach on her. Will still have some dimension, and I really appreciate how fresh she is in terms of her skin. Just a nice, good presented one there. Then we got one that comes in second. I think at the ground, I love this one's bone. I love her foot. I just need this counter and open this one up in terms of just sheer power on the overall match. Let's give the kids a big round of applause.
In that class of Southfield youth, first place was Landon Gaines. Placing second was Caitlin Draft. They will be the champion in reserve Southfield youth. We now are showing our black page crossbred new land.
hard to take a little bit of time here, and at a show we're going to try to use the right ones and try and give these females a bit of a chance to see where they're at. We're going to use the young man here in the middle. I think in terms of just one that can get out and go with some flex and some reach, and I think just a good design one, I guess. She's the best neck, she's the best shoulder. I think top three. I think the top three all can use an extra shot of muscle and cycle. So I think you go with the best built one, the freshest touching one, and that's where that one goes ahead and wins. I really like this one when we get this one cranked and we get her set up. I think in terms of cycle shape and outward shape to that one's leg, that's as good as any in this particular class. And I love this one's rack and her body shape. She's a bit coarser and rounder in her shoulder, a little bit deeper there in her chin. As you can combine her, not only she has she's level, she's big-footed. You get it behind, so she is the finest of those three in terms of her hip and her cycle. And top three, she's packing the most on her in terms of just overall body condition. I think we leave that one up. That could be a difference. So just a good what you call. I think functional female here. You get over the top side of her body. Super well. Love this one's rich. I love how wide she is in terms of her loin and her hip. Study her. She's a bit bare in terms of her left, a bit straighter, her shoulder, just like that. Here. Elevate her to make her pull up her shoulder. The young rounds out here, taking the lap here, the young lady here, I think this one's really cool in terms of freshness and skin, and I think I like this one as you go to the top side of her. When we study her movement, though, she needs fixed, not only maybe just in terms of her structure, but she gets up there in terms of her back, she wants to round out her hip, and she's just too inverted in her underline as well. She's a deeper chested sheep that transitions back into a tighter and drier flank. Then the young man rounds out this particular class, and I think one that's got some body shape to her. You go to the top side of her, she's just too short. She's too short out of her front end and her neck, a bit narrow there in terms of her hip. And just not quite stout enough when she turns and goes away. Let's give these kids a big round of applause. Each class.
In that class, the black-faced ewe lamb. Placing 7th was Noah Worth. In 6th place was Olivia Poland. Placing 5th was Madison Ingrid. 4th place was Olivia Poland. 3rd place, Lancashire by Cora Bartram. 2nd place, Patrick Kinney. 1st place, black-faced ewe lamb, exhibited by Connor Orton. Now showing our black-faced crossbred yearling ewe.
Not the biggest footed and shaggiest legged thing, but I think from there up, a good productive female in her own right in terms of just body width and design. Let's give this young man a big round of applause on his project.
That yearling ewe is exhibited by Jay Spencer. We're having a show for the Champion and Reserve Black-Faced Crossbred ewe.
really cool crossbred division. The yearling, a good productive, good body one that I think is extremely practical. I'm going to go home and do a good job of keeping herself in a good condition. We talked to her, maybe just not quite as intriguing or as on the other side, second place one that's really opened up, and then we kind of landed on a good design one here that it was pretty much the most all free in that particular division and class. These two are going to be our champion numbers over here.
That champion black-faced youth exhibited by Connor Orphan, and reserve champion by Patrick Kinney. We're now going to show for our Supreme Champion youth. We're going to bring back the champions and reserves from each of the breeds and show for the Supreme Champion. Green champions, starting here closest to the announcer's table, is the Dorset U. It's owned by Cora Bartram. Second is owned and exhibited Dorset Advanced U, which is owned and exhibited by Tess Orton. Next we have our champion Hampshire U, which is exhibited by Patrick Kenny. Following Patrick, we have our champion Natural Color Uland, which is owned by Olivia Copeland. Behind Olivia, we have Cora Bartram with her champion Shropshire. After Cora is Landon Gaines, who has the champion Southbound ULM. At the very back, we have Connor Orton, who has the champion Black Base Crossbred.
Let's give these kids a big round of applause. Been a few years since I've been on their side, getting the opportunity to work all summer and come out here on the home turf with your friends, the people that push you and all the above. And we evaluated an extremely tough and good, high quality female show here, and it's been certainly an honor to work through them. And I think each and every one of them are good there in their own right. From what they represented in terms of their breed, and we're not going to talk about each and every one of them. It quite frankly comes down to three of them, and unfortunately, there's one that gets left out in a particular show, and that's just it's unfortunate how it is. And I think as you come out here and trying to find a pair of females that do it best, do it in terms of their front end, do it in the way that they move and their structural integrity and how they move at the ground. But most importantly, I think ones that need to touch with some freshness. And there's a couple out here that we found today that we complimented them on being extremely fresh and good in their time and their kind. I think there's an extremely high quality trio here with two that just quite frankly just surface just a bit higher in terms of maybe just some quality, maybe better notch, smooth position in the way that they get. You find females that work. And we have no idea what we're going to go out and make the best babies yet until we get in the lambing barn. At the end of the day, a high fit and two on a fit. Let's get a big round of applause.
And the Grand Champion U is attended by Cora Bartram and with her Shropshire Yearling U, and the reserve champion with the Southbound U, exhibited by Landon Gaines. Next on our docket is our halter class. We're going to take just a little bit of a break here to get the ring set up, and we'll be ready for our junior halter class, and then follow that with our senior halter class. So we're moving into the stand. This is our halter class that we're going to be doing. And in the halter class, it's judged strictly on the handling of the land. The land itself plays very little part in the judging of this. It's judged on a 40-point scale. There's 10 points for the function of the sheep and the contestant. 5 points for the attitude of the animal, 5 points for using the halter properly, 5 points for the cleanness of the animal, 5 points for the grooming of the lamb, and then finally 5 points keeping the lamb under control while being exhibited and following the line. So I think we're ready to get started with our junior halter class. So, exhibiting in our halter class, we had Caitlin DeGraff, Tessa Ortman, Parker Johnson, Connor Ortman, Ashley Alexander, and Alana Alexander in our, oh, I get one wrong. Okay, here we go. Got Connor. Did I get everybody else right? Okay, very good. There's Connor. And this year's winner of the junior halter class is Alana Alexander. Congratulations. Thanks to all of you for coming out. So, very good. So if you guys want to exit, we'll get the course set up again for the seniors. senior halter show, and Madison Abram gets the champion in that. Now we're ready to move on with our Market Land show. And in just a minute here, we'll get started. We'll bring in our first class, which will be the Hampshire Market Land. We worked through this class. I'd like to make everybody aware that the project buildings are open from 12 o'clock to 8 o'clock each day this week. So encourage everybody to go up and go over and see some of the static exhibits that you can see in the block building and the metal building over there. Also want to encourage everybody, once get done with this show and it's nearing summertime, to visit the 4-H Junior Leaders booth, which is right here on the east side of the building. They have a pretty broad menu of pork burgers, nachos, various hot dogs, Tony dogs. So I encourage you to go out for and patronize the junior leader stand and support the junior leaders. You have information that you need at the Lead Center. It is open each day from 8 to 6, and you can enter it through the doors on the east side. Today is our sheep show. Tomorrow morning we'll be doing the beef show starting at 10 o'clock. In the afternoon there will be the rabbit show. And then the swine show will take place here on Wednesday. And then that will all be followed up by the annual 4-H auction, which is going to be Thursday evening. The auction starts, let me make sure I get the time right, the auction starts at 5:30 on Thursday evening. So encourage buyers to arrive early, and encourage everybody to come and watch that auction and cheer that on. Also want to give a shout out for some donors for this year's show. That Midwest First Choice Bedding donated all the bedding that we have here in the show ring. We also have a donation from Miller's Farm Market. They donated flowers for the livestock building. I think they chipped in on the bedding as well. Really want to thank the Kelly families, the Hartmans, and the Bartrams, who were the families that helped set that up, and really appreciate them supporting 4-H.
without a doubt, the coolest pair that I guess I've had to split hairs on, and you know what a statement coming out in our weather show with two high quality, high ceiling kind of projects for these two, and I think they both counter each other in some different ways. And the young man sheep to my left probably does it the best in terms of just his length to his front end. I think when he gets down the motors, he's just a notch more comfortable at the surface in terms of the way he puts them down at the ground. And I think as you get over the top side of his skeleton and his framework, he's fresh. He's good there in terms of his rack. He transitions really cool into his and as you get behind him, he's still hit big cycle kind of a sheep. I think one again that tracks really cool. His neck may set down just a bit from the side from a correctness standpoint, but I think just a really cool top pair here. The young man that's in second, I love the ruggedness and stoutness of this guy. I tell you what, you get in behind him, he's a good bodied sheep, one that offers an abundance amount of muscle. He's big hips, he's big ended, and really square and genuine in terms of just base width and foot size. I guess from a build standpoint, I want to fix him just a little bit. There are times when he does look really cool propped up, and there's times when he gets down and he goes, he pushes too far forward in terms of his shoulder. He gets just a bit straighter off of his rear. But I think an top pair, just an awesome, cool, high quality top pair. The sheep that comes in third, just gets beat by two that are just more souped up, a little bit fresher in terms of their touch and their tone and their overall correctness. I love this guy's silhouette. When you get this one propped up, great fronted kind of a sheep, one that offers a great look in terms of his chest floor, progressively gets deeper into his flank. He's a pretty in his sheep. Just plainer than his overall build. A little flatter there in terms of his bone work, maybe just not quite as cool and having the extra bells and whistles, but I think a practical, stout, rugged kind of one. The sheep that comes out next, and I think if he's cut back in terms of his condition, he's got a lot of cool things. Just a bit too far over the line for me. I love his design, I love his look, and he checks the box of still being wide and dimensional. Unfortunately, those three ahead of him are just a bit crisper. They offer a little bit more shape and genuine, spread there on the backside of their shoulder, and just quite simply just have more expression as we view them. Then kind of the sheep there with the head wolf coming out next, a sheep that worked his way up, and he does it because he's structurally good. His design is phenomenal. I think just a good smooth-fronted, tall-shouldered, elevated kind of a sheep. Unfortunately, he runs out of gas. He gets a bit flatter in his hip, a little flatter there in the lower part of his leg and his cycle. It just needs to be wider and genuine on both ends. Then a big-footed scout look. Good one at the ground to this guy. I love the foot, the bone work on him, and I think he's a good design kind of a sheep. You get it behind him, though, he's just a bit flatter on the top side of his hip. I think he's pushing the envelope as well in terms of maybe some body condition over his wrist. But he got a nice project, and unfortunately ran out some rivals in a really tough class. Then the young man that comes out, let this one quick. The young man is doing a good job. Have control here. I think a high cut ability lean carcass sheep, one that just needs to be stouter, needs to be just a bit fresher. And then I think our two young ladies that round out this particular division and class have some sheep that have some look and some practicality through the rib and their body. I think they're sheep that offer a decent look when you view from the side. We just need to stout them up, freshen them up, and make them just a notch more dimensional. Let's give a big clap to kids.
In that class, the Hampshire Market Lamb, placing ninth was Bailey Appleton. Eighth place was Parker Johnson. Placing seventh was Noah Worthman. Sixth place was Tyler Ballinger. Fifth place was exhibited by Alana Alexander. Fourth place, Madison Ingram. Placing third was Cora Bartram. Reserve champion, Hampshire Market Lamb, was exhibited by Landon Gaines, and our champion Market Lamb, exhibited by Riker Mouse. We're now ready for our natural color Market Lamb.
really cool duo here, and I think the darker fiber, darker colored sheep that we lead off with to my right is just simply he's the better option. I think if you get on top of him, has a fresher back. He's fresher in terms of his edge. I think the sheep is just a lot more genuine in terms of the width through his chest and through his rib cage. And if you get him behind him, he's bigger out of his hip, and he offers more shape and curvature there to the lower part of his leg and his stifle. And I think at the ground, not only is he just a notch better in terms of his structure, but I think he stands on a bigger foot and just a notch more genuine overall. The sheep that comes out second, a good heighted, big rack kind of a sheep. I think one that touches with some touch and some tone in terms of his rack and transitions extremely cool there and is going upward. You get it behind him, a bit flatter in the top of his hip, a little bit flat in the lower part of his leg, just a bit narrower there in terms of his face. So let's give these two on the a big round of applause.
That champion natural color is exhibited by Casey DeGraff. Third champion was Mackenzie House. Now ready for our Oxford Market Land.
Really solid single entry here. I think genuine project for this young lady. One that's super cool there in terms of his front end. Good long neck on this one. Really cool there in terms of his shoulder. And I think one that you get in behind him certainly offers some skeletal dimension and power. Maybe just pushing the envelope, maybe just a little bit there in terms of just cover over his forwards. But I think just a good, smooth, good feeding, practical kind of a sheep. Let's give this young lady a big round of applause.
That Oxford was exhibited by Alana Alexander. Now we'll have our Shropshire Market Land.
Another single entry, but I think one, the representation of this one's breed offers some quality, a good profiling kind of a sheep. I think the young man does a good job of getting this one presented. Again, one, you get it behind him, cracked open in terms of his rack. Really cool there in terms of his loin edge and out through his hip. And I think as you work down this one's stifle, he's got some outward flare and outward shape. Let's give this young man a big round of applause as well.
That Shropshire was exhibited by Patrick Kenny.
single entry in our Southdown division, and I think one she started the ground certainly a big-footed, shaggy-legged kind of a deal, and I think past through the profile, one that offers some extension and some length. We may be one we want to just stouten him up, freshen him up just a bit, but I think a good project for this young lady. Let's give her a big round of applause.
And that Southdown weather is exhibited by Caitlin the Draft. We're now ready for our Suffolk exhibit.
Really cool Suffolk sheep here, and I think one that definitely checks the boxes in terms of just skeletal mass and dimension. Certainly opened up there in terms of his chest and his forearm, and I think as you get on the extra end of this one, skeleton through for head, really stout there in dimensional in terms of his stock and his depth through his twist. Just a good body, fresh kind of a sheep. Let's give this young lady a big round of applause as well.
That Suffolk was exhibited by Madison Baxter. Now ready for our class of black-faced crossbred market lambs.
I think three high quality ones, and the guy up front that leads and surfaces to the top of this class does it, for just having the best hook. I think all of them have some muscle, all of them got some shape and dimension there in terms of their hip. This one up front, he gets out motors the best. I think he maintains a good position there in terms of his neck away on the top side of his shoulder. I think he just blends the best in there in terms of his top line and his hip and his muscle going away. Now, the one in second, maybe a notch firmer to the touch at times. I think this guy's rack is extremely explosive and genuine there out of the backside of his shoulder. He's a good, clean, hiding kind of a sheep. Unfortunately, he gets just a bit pinched there in his hip joint. Maybe one that doesn't open up with as much hip in dimension and base width when you study him going away. That's been a really good one that comes in big hits. I think one that's got some muscularity working in terms of his hip and down through his back. When you get him and get him moving, if he gets too straight, I think he's too tight out of his hip and his hind leg. He's too dry there in the center part of his flank. I think when we fix there, and he appreciated for his muscularity. And I think we got three to round out this particular class. The young lady next has a good practical kind of a sheep. I think a big rib, good chested one. One that of the remaining ones still probably has the most muscle and bone. With one working ahead of him, though, he gets a bit too flat. Just not quite as genuine as opened up from end to end. Then we got one that comes next, is a good looking kind of a sheep, I think a good structured one. One that gets out and goes with some flex and some reach off both ends of his skeleton and his framework. Just the one we got to freshen up there in terms of his hip and after his loin, and just counting him up overall. Then a lamb that rounds out. Love this one in terms of his body. I love him there in terms of his smoothness and his length. Just one kind of stout enough. Let's give it a big round of applause.
In that first class of black-faced crossbred, placing sixth was Marissa Shiring. Placing fifth was Bailey Allen. Fourth place was Parker Johnson. And the first three lambs in that class were all moved by Madison Ingram. As we work through this class, I want to once again introduce our judge for this year's sheep show. Mr. Blake Hickle comes to us from Hillsborough in Mountain County, down close to Covington. Blake attended Fort Scott Community College in Kansas and then finished his degree at Western Illinois University in Illinois. And there he was a member of the livestock judging team. Currently teaches ag down in Cedar High School in Warren County, West Lebanon, Indiana. In addition to that, down in Hillsborough, his wife and his family raised clump lambs. And he's here with us today. Glad to have him, Mr. Blake Nichols.
I think really, really cool one to lead this particular class. I love the extra shot of hand feature. He has the white up through his head and down through his legs, and you get it behind him. Just a big burly kind of a sheep, one that opens up in his cage. Just a nice solid one to win this particular class. Second, I love the extra stoutness and ruggedness of this guy. This one's opened up through his chest, and he's big on the backside of his shoulder and his blade, and I think a powerfully hit out of a sheep. Unfortunately, he's just a bit plainer, though of course, when deeper there in the lower part of his shoulder, I think as you work from their back, he gets a bit tighter there in his flank, and just runs out of gas when he studies in terms of just foot and overall bone at the ground. Then one that comes out next in the third, and I think just a good profile in sheep. You study this guy from the side. He's elevated through his chest and his front end. He's crisp there in terms of his rack and his loin edge. Unfortunately, if you get it behind him in relation to those top two, he gets a bit flatter in terms of his hip. He gets a bit flatter there in the lower part, taking his side one, just simply runs out of overall dimension to compete with the two in front of you. But I think an awfully nice one. The young man that comes out next with a good profile in the sheep, one that we need to stouten up, one that we need to open as well. And then two that round out this particular class that has some dimension there in terms of their rib and their body. Just need to open them up, stouten and freshen them up as well. Let's give these kids a big round of applause in our crossbred division.
In the second class of crossbred, placing sixth was Marissa Shirey. Placing fifth was James Spencer. Fourth place was Noah Workman. Third place lamb was exhibited by Tyler Ballinger. Second place was Ashley Alexander, and our first place lamb was exhibited by Riker Mount. We're now going to show for our champion and reserve champion, black-faced crossbred.
Really cool crossbred division. As we bring our class winners back out, our lightweights with a nice pair, and we surface the young ladies closest to me as just being the most practical, the one that offers the most trueness of skeleton on the ground. And from there, again, you get it back down here. Is he leaning up over his ribs? I think he's supposed. I think one that you maybe just fix him at the ground a little bit in terms of just some bone, but I think it's a good practical bottom grading kind of a sheep. And then up here on the top end in our heavyweight, a class winner that we appreciate him for his extra shot of presence. Maybe one you want to just open him up there in the top side of his hip ever so slightly, but I'll tell you what, you get him up. He's got a big kick. He's got big legs. He's going to be our champion today. Again, I think it gets close here for reserve sheep up front that we appreciate him for the extra shot and firmness that he's got. You question his build maybe just a little bit. He gets a bit bolder and closer to his head, maybe just a bit and strength. And then we've got one that wins our lightweight class. We talked about his practicality. I think as you get him set out here, I'm more comfortable with his build, the way he carries his shoulder and his top line. Our lightweight is going to be our reserve.
That champion blackface market lamb was exhibited by Riker Mount.
A really cool division here in our white face cross, and I think one that checks the boxes of being cool in his build and still dimensional and wide when you get it behind him. Super cool there in terms of his body and the upper shape he's got there working out of his hip. Just a nice soft place to go ahead and win this particular class, and I think it gets close. Here in second has a good-footed, big-footed one. I think one that still gets out with some flex and some reach in terms of his skeleton. You get over the top side of him, though. I need to open him up just a bit. His shoulder, and I think that story works from their back. Just like to open him up there just a bit in terms of his hip. Let's give these two young ladies a big round of applause.
And your champion whiteface crossbred Weather was exhibited by Ashley Alexander, the reserve champion by Audrey Wiring. We're now ready for our Grand Champion Drive, the selection of our Grand Champion Market Lamb. We're now showing for our Grand Champion Market Lamb. These are the representatives of all our breed winners. Starting from here at the announcer stand, first we have the champion Hamp, exhibited by Riker Mount. Next is our champion Natural Color, owned by Caitlin DeGraff. Following that is our champion Oxford, exhibited by Alana Alexander. Behind Alana, we have the champion Shropshire, exhibited by Patrick Kenny. Behind Patrick is the champion Southdale, owned by Caitlin DeGraff. We then have our champion Summit, which is exhibited by Madison Baxter. Following Madison is the champion Blackface Crossbred, which is owned by Riker Mountain. Finally, we have our champion Whiteface, which is owned and exhibited by Ashley Alexander. This year, in addition to getting the banners that you've seen passed out all day, the Grand Champion Market Lamb will be receiving a traveling trophy that's new this year, a traveling trophy, and that is being presented in the memory of Larry Emthauer, who passed away this last winter. Larry supported the 4-H Sheep Show, participated here in the Howard County Fair for more than 30 years. This trophy will be delivered to the champion, and then it will once again be a traveling trophy that every year will move on to the champion of each fair. So it's a touch of memory of Larry Emthauer and the presence that he had over the many years here at the Howard County 4-H Sheep Show. Let's give a big hand for the Larry Emthauer family for donating that trophy. I think that's a neat touch.
Well, I think first and foremost, such a cool grand drive, representing some different breeds and different shapes and sizes as we get out here and, trying to find, a pair of them that fit together, that, both check the boxes in terms of having some cuttability, both have, some shape and dimension to them as well as you get in behind them. And I think, it comes down to three of them again. There's always three, in my opinion, that are running right at each other. And again, it's just another guy's opinion of, a pair out here, and kind of how we sort them in terms of just maybe some freshness and some look, design, and I think, some sheep that put it together extremely well. I think it gets but there's one out here that I think, surfaces to the top extremely high in terms of his ceiling level. I think one that you love him in terms of his build and his look and his design. But boy, I tell you what, you get a whole, he's a fresh, let's cut a keep out here. And let's go with these kids. A big round of applause and we'll select the champion in reserve. And our grand champion, Market Lamb, was owned and exhibited by Riker Mountain. The reserve champion was exhibited by Landon Gady. Once again, Riker will receive, in addition to a banner, he will receive the Larry Emthauer Memorial Traveling Trophy.
So that completes our market land classes. Next up will be our showmanship classes. I'm just going to have a little bit of a pause here so we can kind of get everybody gathered. And then we'll be starting with our important showmanship contest.
We concluded with an awesome grand drive, and I tell you what, we get to work the kids a little more before we call it a day, and I think 3 of them that have worked extremely hard today. I think, doing some great things right, and the young lady up front here, I think is extremely good there when we get them out on the go in terms of being able to keep the head up. At times we want to watch our feet and our legs and making sure that we're trying to just keep that sheep spine and top line relaxed in them as well. Then I think down here, I think a young lady that's extremely knowledgeable and was fun to visit with today, and she does a good job getting that neck shut back in her where it needs to be. There's times that we get a little fidgety, but I think at this age, I think all of us at that age probably got a little too fidgety, for work. There's times maybe just relax and keep that head where it needs to be. And then a young man here in the middle, I think again, overwork. But I think when he gets them set, his body position I'm the most comfortable with. He was the only one to move around front to show me that front end. I think he's doing a stellar job. He's going to be our champion junior showman.
And our champion beginning showman was Landon Gaines. Also exhibiting in the beginner class were Audrey Cook and Bailey Appleton. Our next class will be the junior showmanship, and these are exhibitors who have just completed the 4th, 5th, or 6th grade.
I think a really challenging division. Four young ladies that I think are doing a great job, and you guys are going to be running against each other for quite some time, and you all do some good things. There's also maybe some things that we maybe want to change here and there. I think the young lady here to my left does a great job as we get these sheep out on the go. I think she is extremely confident in getting that sheep around the ring. Just maybe at times we'd like to maybe position our body just a little more in front of that sheep, get under ourselves just a bit to maybe get a little more drive out of that that sheep, but I think fundamentally you do some things that are really good as well. I think the young lady, the second one out does an awesome job as far as, having, that sheep set up. You do a great job of keeping the legs where they're at. You do an awesome job as far as eye contact with me, and I appreciate that. Maybe at times on the halter we want to make sure we keep that head maybe just a notch more elevated at times, and I think, maybe position our body just a notch more in front. But I think you do an awesome job as well. When we got a young lady here that I think in terms of just body position, having a game face, she does a really good job as well. She gets in front of that sheep. She lets me know that she's ready, but maybe we want to just push that neck back just a little bit. And I think you have a bright future ahead of you as well. And then the young lady up here, as we get this sheep moved and about the ring, you're extremely cool in terms of your mannerisms and movement. Other times maybe just keep up there on the sheep instead of the right hand down. I think it gets close between the young lady and the young lady. I guess the one that's maybe just a notch more consistent, I think one that I'm just more comfortable with in terms of body position and keeping both hands on is going to be the young lady here in front of me.
And our champion junior showman was Parker Johnson. Also exhibiting were Alana Alexander, Ashley Alexander, and Mackenzie Appleton. Let's give Parker a big hand. That was quite a compliment. Now showing our intermediate showmanship class. These are exhibitors who just finished 7th, 8th, or 9th grade.
Another really cool division, and I think it's the young people that do an awesome job as far as changing positions and moving around the sheep. And the young lady here to my left, I think, does a good job of getting that sheep out of the go. I think there's times maybe some feet and legs get out of place at times, and maybe want to position our body just a notch more in front of that sheep, and maybe just get into plant and just drive it with a notch more authority than I think a South Down up here. The young lady on the South Down does a great job, is extremely knowledgeable in terms of, communicating back to me there. I 100% agree with you. A sheep that maybe we want to put just a little more weight on, and there's times maybe we want to just get that back leg set, relax that spine just a little bit, and maybe shove that neck back in. But I think a young man here in the middle, I think, has done a good job most of the day. I think he's extremely smooth in his transitions when he's walking. He gets in front of that, he even gets those feet set. I'm the most comfortable with him. He's going to be our champion this division.
And our champion intermediate showman is Connor Orman. Also exhibiting in the intermediate showmanship were Caitlin DeGrasse